Let's bring in today's political panel, the CEO of Compass Strategies, Luke Ball, and Democratic strategist Theron Bond. Guys, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Theron, I'll start with you. What's with all this taking the fifth? If you got nothing to hide, testify. Say what's up.
You know, it's funny that we want to hear all of this juicy goodness tea from former Biden administration folks, but as Trump's cabinet appointees were going through their confirmation hearings, there was a lot of, I don't know, I'm not sure, let me go find out. I just want to know, why it's always so slanted. But here's the thing. As much as we know that Donald Trump is president right now, does he realize he's actually the president? Because he's so focused on former President Joe Biden. Why not focus on doing the good work for the American people? Because we actually need to see some of those things happen. He talks about moving forward and unifying, but if you're constantly looking in the past, then that's not something that we can do as a country together.
Luke, there is a discussion from some committee Republicans to bring the former First Lady before. It's something that President Trump has previously said should be off limits, but do you think that that is something that Republicans should probably avoid? Or?
I don't think it would be a good look. I think the difference in cabinet appointees and former Biden administration officials is that we're trying to uncover mismanagement and potentially what they were doing in lieu of Biden's administration. And I don't think it's good for the American people that we don't have all of that information. It's not good for the executive branch if we had a cabal of staff members behind the scenes using the autopen. And we even have multiple examples. One of the most important, Speaker Mike Johnson, asking the president, why did you stop liquid natural gas exports from Louisiana? And Biden said, I did not do that, when he had the executive order in hand. So we have to find out what exactly was the procedure and what exactly was the policy for using the autopen and how thoroughly was it abused.
Theron, do you think that Democrats have come to terms with Biden's age, how those around him handled that what happened when he left, why he decided to run? I mean, have they really kind of come to terms with that?
No, I think they're still trying to put the story together that doesn't make them look too bad without also just giving a free apple or free orange to the Republicans. And that's part of why people still don't trust them. All in all, regardless of who's in the office of the presidency, the American people deserve clarity and they deserve honesty from everyone, not just the president, but all of the appointees. And so when we talk about why Democrats still can't get a following, still can't get out of that 20% low threshold of favorability, it's because they still aren't being honest with the American people. It doesn't matter how bad Republicans are doing, how much President Donald Trump is failing the American people. If they're not doing anything to combat it and they aren't being honest about their flaws, then it doesn't matter.
Well, speaking of the Bidens, Hunter Biden gave his first interview since the election.
Yeah.
He told Jamie Harrison's new podcast, we lost the last election because we did not remain loyal to the leader of the party. Luke, when it was that time back after the first debate, when all the Democrats, or many Democrats, were trying to push President Biden out, there was a little bit, from some of the reporting out there, was a little bit of panic in the Trump administration because they not Trump administration, the Trump campaign, because they preferred to run against Biden. Well, I mean, that was probably the preferred candidate, no?
Well, it's interesting because Trump was actually up 6 points on Joe Biden the week that he dropped out. I thought Hunter Biden would have moved to the acceptance phase of the 5 stages of grief, but he's still in the anger phase. Blaming your base for not being loyal to the Democrat Party, kind of like blaming a bowling ball for not knocking down all of the pins. It's not about the utility. It's about how you actually implemented your administration and implemented your policy. And they have to move past that if they want to win elections again. And I would say that one of the major reasons that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were doing so poorly is that Joe Biden said, quote, no daylight, kid. Don't separate yourself from my administration whatsoever. And in those last few days of the Biden campaign, you saw those failing poll numbers and you saw it failing all the way up to the election day.
Theron, does anybody outside of the tight Biden orbit actually believe what Hunter just said?
I would hope not, but that's what they're displaying. The reality is that typically when you have a president that aligns with your party, your particular party tends to work side by side with them on the campaign. When they don't, there are a lot of extra discussions that happen. And what the DNC decided to do with Joe Biden still being in the White House at the time, they decided to give them a lot of leeway with how they would run things, which ultimately led to us losing. And so when you have Jamie Harrison kind kind of agreeing and interviewing Hunter Biden. It's his dad. Like, what do you expect him to say? The reality is that the Democrats lost because their messaging wasn't good. Joe Biden stayed in too long. He never should have run for a second term. Kamala Harris was not the chosen one. She was the hand-picked one. And those are two different things. We didn't have a real primary, and we are still suffering from those decisions. And if the DNC does not get it right, we will be screwed come the midterms, and we certainly won't have a real shot at getting back the White House because they are making the same mistakes over and over and not being honest with not only the American people, but themselves within the party and within Congress.
Theron Bond, Luke Ball, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.